box is closed. Okay, I'm getting ready for you, Dave, because he's taller and more handsome, so I'm going to just tend to be like him. Our next storyteller is Dave Levy. Dave is awesome. I sort of have like a storytelling man crush on Dave. He introduced me to cheap scotch. I'm still drinking Johnny Walker Black. That was my first scotch ever. I still go to it, so thank you. But Dave once joined Toastmasters in an effort to get over his crippling stage fright. You'd never know tonight, and he learned a thing or two about public speaking. He started his own storytelling event with a friend in Cincinnati. Can you believe this? Over 15 years ago. It's called True Theater. It's in its 15th season. Lauren, Jackie, Bridget, and I have all done shows with True Theater, and it's just an awesome community he has in Cincinnati. Please welcome Dave Levy of True Theater to the stage.
February 29th, Leap Day. We have one every 4 years, right? Wrong! Trick question. Many of you don't know this. I'll bet most of you don't know this, but I have it ready to show you on my phone. You can look it up after the show. Every 100 years, that is years ending in 00, they cancel Leap Day, unless that year is evenly divisible by the number 400. All right, complicated and crazy, I know, but it's all because of the reason why we have a leap day and the fact that having the leap day doesn't precisely do what we have a leap day to do, and all the other stuff is to compensate for that. So I explained all of this just to tell you that February 29th in the year 2000, and looking around, most of us were alive during that time, was not just an ordinary 1 in every 4 year leap day. February 29th in the year 2000, being the first 00 year in 400 years to have a February 29th, was an extraordinary, astronomically unusual day. It also happened to be the day that in my takeout Chinese food order, I got a fortune cookie with this fortune. And it says, and I've meticulously kept track of it for nearly 26 years, it says, "Today is your lucky day." I can finish right there. I guess that's funny, but the thing is that because it told me that that was going to be my lucky day, I decided I was going to make it my lucky day. It was going to be my lucky day, I decided, because it would be the day that I added years to my life. It was going to be the day I decided that I finally quit smoking. And of course, quitting and deciding to do it and actually doing it is not an easy feat. And I had a history of trying and failing, and I knew it would be difficult. In fact, I had smoked for a very long time. I first started smoking in my mother's womb, and yes, it's true. And I did quit for a little while after I was born, but I picked it up again in high school. And when I got to college, I just went crazy in college. If you had known me at the time, you would be using the word brazenly to describe how I smoke. You would have also heard me many times exclaim to the heavens as I exhaled huge clouds of smoke from my lungs, "Who wants to live forever?" It was douchey as far as things go, but that was me. That was me for 4 years of college, 2 years of grad school, and on into the start of my career when I moved to Cincinnati in 1992. I pointed over there, I guess Cincinnati's over there. In 1992, to start my work as a radiological engineer at a Department of Energy Superfund cleanup site. So now, not only was I engaged in this dangerous activity of smoking cigarettes, but I would be doing it surrounded by radioactive material. I wasn't actually one of the people who did the cleaning up. I wouldn't, it wasn't the physical labor, but I was close enough to the action that I warranted an annual physical by the on-site medical staff. And of all the years that I was there getting these physicals, I don't remember hardly any of them except this one in particular. And it was the year that they introduced this test that I meant to look it up before I came here. I think it's called a spirometry test. You blow into this big fat tube and you exhale, and the amount of air you exhale and the force with which you expel it dictates how many of these like digital candles on this computer screen get blown out. And I couldn't blow them all out. And the results came back and it said I had the lungs of the 70-year-old. And, those of you who are 70 in the room, you may be like, that's great. But I was just on the cusp of being 30 at the time. And so this stung me pretty good. And I decided that despite my many attempts to quit in the past, that this was the time for me to finally take it seriously. And but I tried so many different ways to do it before that I didn't know what I was going to do. I figured I'd have to do it cold turkey. And so I was just kind of like looking for some sort of sign that said, okay, now, do it now. And I just kind of I just couldn't decide to do it because of the 70-year-old lungs. I needed that sign. And it finally came when my grandfather died. I said, I'm gonna quit in his honor. And it sounds nice, but it's a flimsy excuse because he didn't die from lung cancer or anything. As far as I know, he hadn't ever smoked a cigarette in his life. But I was sort of desperate to find something to latch onto, and I said, okay, I'm gonna quit for my grandfather. And it worked for a couple of years. Until I was at a party with a bunch of friends, and they were all smoking. I just wanted a cigarette so bad. And I remember thinking, remember why you quit smoking? And I was thinking about it, and I was just that quitting it just wasn't a compelling story to me. And between that story and the prospect of getting to smoke again, the cigarettes won that night. I had two. I had one that was terrible, so I had another. It was great. And the next day I had a half a pack, and I was a smoker again. By this point, the sting of hearing about my 70-year-old lungs was years old, and the prospect of having lung cancer one day was future Dave's problem. So I just kind of went about my business. And we're all intelligent. I know that smoking's bad for me, and I consider myself lucky that something sort of equivalent to the 70-year-old lungs kind of entered my life again and made me want to take quitting seriously again. His name is Tyson. He was born on October 31st, 1999. And as many first-time parents will do, I began thinking of doing things to improve my health. And I decided it was finally time to take smoking and quitting of it seriously again, only as before I was going to need some sort of sign from the universe. And that's when, on February 29th in the year 2000, I got this fortune that said, today is your lucky day. And so the thing was, I really wanted it to pan out. I had a short window of opportunity. I had till midnight, right? I couldn't quit smoking the next day. The next day was March 1st. That's boring. It also wasn't the day that I got this fortune that said, today is your lucky day. There was nothing. I had to quit that day. Problem being, I had 6 cigarettes left. And you could just throw them out, right? No, I couldn't do that. And I knew that I could easily go through them by mid-afternoon, and then I'd have to buy more. And if I had more, I wouldn't finish them that day. They'd roll over to the next. I couldn't throw them out, and I'd lose my opportunity to make this astronomically, incredible day, my, in fact, lucky day. So what I ended up doing was I rationed the cigarettes. I knew when I normally have my last cigarette of the day. I knew what time it was. I knew I had 6, and I just sort of worked it out. And I forced myself. I gotta wait to have the next one, and I had the last one at the end of the day, and it worked out perfectly. And the next day, when I wanted a cigarette, I said, I can't have one. Yesterday was my lucky day. Yesterday was this, incredible day in the universe. Today's not that. I'll never have another day like that I could quit on and then bore people to tears by telling them about it. And every time I ever wanted a cigarette, I thought, what do I want more? Do I want the cigarette? Or do I want to be able to share this story about that really weird day in which I quit? And the story, fortunately, has always won. And as a result, I'm alive here today to be able to tell you about it. And it turns out that this little piece of paper was not just prescient in predicting that day would in fact be my lucky day, but it may in fact have been my lucky day because I got this little piece of paper. And this is why I have meticulously kept track of it for nearly 26 years.